of the most recalled events in Canadian history is that of the colonialists beating the Americans in the War of 1812. As a kid growing up in Canada, I remember it being a prominent part of our heritage and folklore, and was usually dragged out every time the conversation would shift to U.S. dominance of Canada. Now, although it makes for a great little story, most historians today will tell you that that war, which lasted from 1812 to 1814, was at best a draw. Hi everybody, I'm Angelo Viola. And no, today's Outdoor Journal is not going to relive that war. However, we're going to use this famous battleground as the stage for today's exciting episode. We're coming to you from Toronto, Canada, described by Fortune magazine as the greatest city in the world to live and play in. And I can attest to that, having lived and been brought up just a few miles east of this world-class metropolis. Set on the northwestern shore of Lake Ontario, Toronto is Canada's largest and most accessible city, with almost 5 million Canadians calling this area home. It enjoys worldwide recognition for architectural leadership through several landmark buildings like the famous CN Tower, the world's tallest freestanding structure, which overlooks Toronto's Sky Dome, featuring several unique world firsts, not the least of which is hosting the Toronto Blue Jays, the only non-American baseball team to ever win the World Series, not once, but twice. Since its opening night, over 2,000 events have been staged here to the delight of more than 30 million spectators and visitors. Now, if you think this week's episode is just a lesson in geography, strap yourself in because we're going auto racing in the world's oldest and largest fairground, the Canadian National Exhibition. Founded in 1879 for the purpose of developing agriculture, industry, and art, today's Canadian National Exhibition, or as it's popularly known, the X, is truly a showcase for this vast nation. It includes a combination of historical buildings as well as new state-of-the-art exhibition halls, like the National Trade Center, the most advanced trade and exhibition facility in North America. It's here that each year from late August to early September, people from all over the world come to experience what is truly a great world fair. Now, before I go inside through the famous Prince's, not Princess Gates, which were built in August of 1927, and incidentally named after Edward, Prince of Wales, and his brother George, who just happened to be in town that month, here's this week's Surviving the Outdoors.
Multiples of multi, multiple, multiple shot, multiplex, multiplican, these are dumb, multiplication, multiplicity, multiply, there it is, multi-tool. My friends, this is the most useful item I have seen to come out for the outdoor person in a long time. Gone, in my opinion, are the days of the jackknife that is about this long and about that thick. No more. These babies are here to stay. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a bit about multi-tools, and more importantly, I'm going to show you 5 different tools from 5 different manufacturers, all of which I would highly recommend. Now, the first thing when you hear of multi-tool, you think of the company Leatherman. Everybody says you got your Leatherman on. Well, they're the originals, okay? They started this whole craze. This is a Leatherman. They make 5 different tools. This is a super tool, all the way down to a micro tool, a very small tool. I would highly recommend for the fisherman the PST-2. It's an awesome little fishing tool. They have a 25-year guarantee. That's the shortest guarantee in the business. It's still a pretty good guarantee. Made in the USA. All these items today are made in the USA. That's very important. It's quality tools. Next tool. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you folks. Living in Canada, I had never heard of this company before, SOG, S-O-G, and that's too bad because I believe they make an awesome tool. Okay, this is definitely the toughest of all the tools. This is like a little Sherman tank. Works on compound leverage. See the little gears here? It's the only one that does that. For good plier power, good cutting power, and I think it has the most implements of all the tools I've tested. Okay, one item on here I got to show you. It's the only tool with a Robertson or square screw head. Now, that's the most useful screwdriver you can get, followed very closely by a Phillips, and followed way behind by the absolutely useless slot screw. I have no idea why anybody ever invented that, but they all got them on there because all the screws were out there. Very good tool, lifetime guarantee, made in the USA. If you can find this one, take a look at it. It's a beauty. Now, the next 3 tools I'm going to show you are all from quality knife companies. Gerber, Buck, and Charade. We all know those names. Luckily, they've gotten into the multi-tool world. We're going to benefit out of that. This is the Gerber tool. Very unique in the way it opens. Unlike all the other ones where you have to open the plier to open it. This one, that's closed. Boom, that's open. Very quick, very easy. You can do that one-handed almost. It's got a nice dull finish even on the knives and all the implements. And the best thing about the Gerber tool is the locking system. This is the new Gerber tool, okay? Open it like that, doesn't look like anything special. That is locked tight by a simple pull of this lever. Push that, back in. That is the best locking system in the business so far, folks, of the ones I've tested anyways, for sure. This is I mean, if you own Gerber knives, you're going to buy one of these for sure. Quality. Now here's a company I know quite well, Buck Knives. Okay, I got a couple of their knives. They're awesome. They keep an edge very well, good steel. They come into the tool business. They've got the nicest looking tool and definitely the most comfortable tool to the hand, okay? They've got all the same implements as everybody else, good locking system. The one thing about Buck though is you get a screwdriver head out, and if you want now, you can make a longer screwdriver like this. You want to do an angle screwdriver like this. Very different, but that can be useful at times. I really like this tool. Like I say, it's the most comfortable. Check out this head. It's a Phillips head, okay? Tried it out, works perfect. No problem with this Buck tool. If you like a comfortable tool, you got small hands, this is the one for you. And finally, the last of the three big knife companies, Schrade. Again, quality product. Schrade has waited till everybody else has made their tools and capitalized on their mistakes, okay? I call this baby the Terminator. Arnold's Terminator. Look at it. It's a futuristic looking tool, wild looking rig, but very useful. I like the locking system on it. When you open an implement up, you just push this little system here, and that one goes in. The one thing that's best about the Schrade tool over everybody else, all the implements are on the side of the tool. One side. You don't have to go around like this to look for them. You don't have to open up to look for it. Very comfortable when you put it in your hand, yet they're all very accessible. A few things to tell you about these things though, folks. Do not buy one tool without comparing it with as many as you can, okay? This is going to last you a lifetime. It's got a lifetime guarantee on it. You're stuck with it, so make sure you buy the one that you want. You won't go wrong with any of them, but pick the one you want. Number two, do not substitute this for this, okay? This is a convenience. This is when you need something out in the field, wherever you are. This is the tool you need for the proper job. No substitute there. Number three, if you strap one of these babies on your belt, I guarantee you will use it almost daily. No, I say you will use it daily, guaranteed. And number four, when you're out camping, you're at the campsite, I guarantee you, you will have the most expensive, the most awesome peanut butter / cheese whiz scoop within 25 miles. I love it.
Coming up, the excitement of a midway, and then Audrey steps back in time. And now, back to the Outdoor Journal. Tilt-A-Whirl, roller coaster, giant Ferris wheel, the octopus. What respectable fairgrounds would be without a midway? The big show. And the Canadian National Exhibition is no exception. In fact, it boasts of having the greatest show on earth. The concept of the midway really started the day we left the caves. It grew from a desire to laugh, scream, gamble, and above all, dream. So throughout history, we've developed the present-day midway to fulfill these needs. Today, the midway here at the X attracts thousands of people, young and old, and offers an opportunity to experience the greatest amusement center on earth. Rides, games, and sideshows of every possible size, shape, and thrill adorn the massive exhibition grounds from gate to gate. Although the first midway can trace its roots back to 1893 at the Chicago World Fair, the very first Ferris wheel ride took place right about here in 1879. It was muscle-powered, held 8 people in 4 chairs, and swung them a terrifying 15 feet off the ground. Today, that would barely keep toddlers amused. Now, while I go and find the racetrack and get into my race suit, let's have a look at this week's Off the Beaten Path.
Hi folks, today Ange is on the actual battlefield of the War of 1812, and I bet it's changed just a little, but here at Fort York, things are probably quite a bit the same as they were back then. The naval base was constructed here in 1793 to protect Canada from the United States, and in 1812, the U.S. declared war and invaded Canada. Now the war ended in a draw in 1815, but unfortunately, Fort York was destroyed. So in 1932, the city of Toronto decided to restore the fort, and in 1934, it opened as an historic monument. So let's go take a look. They keep the grounds of Fort York looking pretty much like they did back then, with British soldiers roaming the grounds. On any given day, you can watch a dramatization of a British officer putting his soldiers through various military exercises. Now this building here is known as Blockhouse Number 2, and it was used as a fortress. What would happen is if the enemy penetrated the fort walls, the soldiers would barricade themselves up in these buildings and fight the enemy through the slots in the windows that you see. Now you might notice that this building looks a little different than the others, a little modern, but in fact, that's the original. I'm usually pretty good at finding the most important places to be. Let's go see. Oh, right on, it's the kitchen. No matter what year, it's my favorite place. And you must be the cook?
Well, I'm the mess cook, yeah.
The mess cook? What would a typical meal be for an officer?
A three-course meal with maybe 6 or 10 different items for every course was pretty typical. I mean, the types of things that you might eat. Well, if you like eating meats, you'd make a great officer back in the 1800s. I mean, there are things like salmon, rabbit, breast of veal, beef tongue.
Can I have any samples?
Oh, yeah, sure. I always have a little bit on hand. This is Portugal cake. It's a fairly good example of an officer's dessert.
And what's in this?
Butter, flour, sugar, currants, rose water to give it a nice little flavor, and a dozen eggs.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Can I take a couple more?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Road?
Help yourself.
Just take a couple. From the outside, things may look a little sparse, and for the average soldier, life was a little tough. But the officers lived quite lavishly. They had private quarters, personal cooks, and large entertaining areas. It's kind of neat seeing old Toronto surrounded by new Toronto. Now this is known as the Stone Magazine, and its walls are over 6 feet thick, making it virtually bomb-proof. And in here, they stored over 800 barrels of gunpowder. And now these ventilation systems here helps keep the gunpowder dry. So I know in a war situation, this is definitely the building I'd want to be in. Well, that's it for my tour, and if I timed it right, the cook's just going to be cooking dinner.
Today's Outdoor Journal adventure takes us to the heart of metropolitan Toronto. Toronto is Canada's largest city, the capital of the province of Ontario, and one of the more progressive cities in the world. Toronto is within a 90-minute flight of 60% of the U.S. population. Canada has 2 official languages, English and French. However, Toronto is a melting pot of many diverse cultures with over 100 different languages. The United Nations has designated Toronto as the world's most ethnically diverse city. Visitors from the United States are required to have proof of citizenship upon request when visiting Canada. In order for a U.S. citizen to prove country of residence, a voter's registration, social security card, or driver's license is acceptable. Coming up, gentlemen, start your engines. And now, back to the Outdoor Journal. Exhibition Stadium is the heart of this great annual fall fair. Today we're here for the extreme vehicle races, featuring all kinds of weird and wonderful automobiles, or at least reasonable facsimiles. Each year, Variety Village, a world-class sporting facility for children with special needs, hosts a celebrity charity car race featuring famous Canadian personalities like National Hockey League star Ty Domi, country singing sensation Julian Austin, Toronto Argonauts phenom Pinball Clemens, and singers Bev Mahood, Alan Frew, and Joan Kennedy. Is it just me, or is there something about the smell of burnt rubber and oil from a racetrack or a pit area that drives you absolutely crazy. I just realized how serious this whole thing really is. It's not just a bunch of celebrities going out for a Sunday drive. It's the real thing. All dressed up and nowhere to go. Well, not quite nowhere to go. This is it. I'm going racing. I'm going to be driving with, actually I'm going to be driving, not with, Melanie Patterson. Hi, Mel.
Hi, how are you?
I have to ask you the most obvious question. What's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this?
I've always wanted to do it.
You've always wanted to do it?
Yeah, always wanted to race, so here it is.
This is intriguing. We're going to be racing a rather strange vehicle. You'll see a little bit later how strange it is. Quickly, what is it? Just a miniature version of some of the older cars?
Basically, it's a 5/8 scale model of the old 1940s and 30s Fords and Chevys. The same chassis applies to all the cars, and it's basically an identical car as all the other cars in this series. It has a Yamaha bike engine, 1200cc bike engine in it. So they're pretty quick. It's about a 1,000-pound car and 130 horsepower.
I've heard
fast.
these things can scat, especially on tight tracks like we're going to be on today. These things are quite impressive. Now, at this point, I think it's important to talk to the team owner and manager, Claudio Bellis, and get some of his input. After all, it's his baby I'm taking out there.
CNE, with the one tight corner that you're going to be running, you're going to have to be really careful because this is going to have a big part to do with it.
I mean, I got to make some adjustments?
You definitely have to.
Yeah, right. This is neat, though. It's very confined, but I think it looks comfortable. And I guess it's a matter of just getting out there and getting my uniform dirty, I guess.
Groove in the smooth, and that's it.
Okay. Put me out there, Coach. I'm ready.
Away you go.
Let
Let's
me
do
at
it.
'em. Now, some final encouragement from my teammates, and I'm ready to go. Okay, tachometer on my left, main oil pressure gauge. Oh, I'm just going over some of the finals here. I'm a little bit concerned about the gauges, although Claudia basically told me not to worry about them. As long as the needles are sitting in a straight up position, I should be fine. Got tack on one side, oil on the other side. I'm going to give her a heck here, folks. Isn't that wow? This is such a confined feeling, yet it's comfortable. It's not as tight as some of the places I've been in. I think we can do this. The pedals are a little awkward. They're a little close together for me, but this is neat. And the shifter, as Claudio said earlier, it's an inline shifter, much like Indy cars. You've got one forward and 4 or 5 gears back. I don't know, I'll find out, 5, 6, who knows. I'll hopefully not have to use them all. Okay, wish me luck, we're going. We're out of here.
Welcome, race fans.
Just to give you folks at home a real taste for what it's like to be in this tiny little car, we've strapped a mini cam to the inside of this vehicle. lap of close call. What a rush. I won. I actually won the darn thing.